All right, we're here. Dr. Ari Socher back for episode 3 of the Overthinkers Think Tank. And we are in full Mercury retrograde. If anyone out there doesn't know what I'm talking about, for the purpose of this podcast, we'll have you just Google it. But for others that are feeling particularly retro, this could be why. So from February 9th to, I think, March 7th, we're going to be feeling these effects. So what does that even mean? It means not to grow out your pubics, ladies and gents. No, not that kind of retro. What it means is that all communication just starts falling apart between people, technologies. Shit just gets screwed up. So this is a time essentially for planning, not for signing any contracts. Don't make any big decisions until retrograde is over. So let's get planning. And let's plan on starting the show. Episode 3, Overthinkers Think Tank.
Who y'all talking to, man? Check it out. Check it out. This here goes out to all the niggas that be fucking mad bitches in other niggas' cribs. Thinking shit is sweet. Nigga creep up on your ass. Live niggas respect it. Check it. I kick flows for ya. Kick down doors for ya. Even left all my motherfucking hoes for ya.
Let's get this going. All right. So first off, let me thank everybody for the continued support. Been getting really good feedback on the Instagram. That's at overthinkersthinktank on Instagram. And we got an email going now, overthinkersthinktank@gmail.com. So if anyone's got any comments or thoughts, ideas, questions about stuff that I might have mentioned on the show, man, it's always good to hear from everybody and see what you're enjoying. So let's get down to it. Let's talk about the weekend. So where we left off last time, my ex-girlfriend Jess was coming to visit, and Jess came to visit, and it's cool. Like where we're at, we're in that friendship cultivation. You know, we're trying to find that balance, because I don't want a long distance relationship. And I also didn't want to be with the person that she was before she moved away and got to really working on herself. So this weekend was a time to just hang out again as friends. She had to get some things here in town, some clothes and stuff like that, and get to some appointments. So we got to spending time, and it's interesting, like old patterns start to come up. I think that happens often when you're with an ex. And either one, you get reminded of things of like why the relationship struggled a little bit. But maybe when I came across some of those things, it was nice to see her response was much different than it would have been in the past. You know, it definitely was some growth there. And, on particular issues. But, sometimes it's, old patterns are something that you got to be mindful of. It's interesting that I know one thing that I don't want to be. I know I didn't want to. My concern with going back together with Jess was that I didn't want to go back or be forced to be the person that I was before I really started working on myself. And during the time that Jess and I have been together, I did a lot of work on myself. And there was a time when I was like way more reactive with things, and then I started waking up. And it's cool when you start to kind of practice these things a little bit, and you start realizing how, we end up just being puppets to our ego, and we're getting pulled, the strings are being pulled, and we are defending an identity, ourself, that maybe we don't even believe in. Maybe it's just an identity that we've built as children or through our adolescence, so we start thinking about who is it that we're defending, and you start noticing that storm of emotions as it's brewing, so you're not just waking up in the middle of the storm. So it's cool. So it's funny, one particular thing. So Jess and I were talking, and I asked her, she's a travel nurse in Denver, so I want to know what her next 3 months are going to be, where she's going to be. How her job is changing or anything like that. And she said, she's going to be actually moving to Phoenix, Arizona for the next 3 months. And, my mouth was like, oh, that's cool. But my every single cell in my body was like, what the fuck? Like, why wouldn't you tell me? And that's ego right there. Like, why wouldn't you tell me? Like, why would you have to tell me? And then I start thinking and I start overthinking, this is where my brain goes, what's the scene like in Phoenix, and what are the dudes like? And I just, I start making this whole damn scenario. It's crazy. A whole scenario. I start going and just playing it out, and we're so good at that. We play these scenarios in our heads, and that shit 99% of that stuff doesn't happen, but our imaginations are so vivid that we'll make ourselves live that scenario like it happened. And our brains don't know any different. Our bodies react. The stress is the same. So it's crazy. So you start realizing that, I start realizing I'm a work in progress. But, so I didn't overreact. And there's a book that I read not too long ago by Dom Miguel Ruiz called it's called The Mastery of Self. And basically he states that any time that we get emotional about something, whether it's anger or jealousy, it's a great opportunity to ask ourselves, okay, what is this situation bringing about that I'm afraid of? Where is the fear and attachment here? And when I started doing that and seeing that, when Jess said to me, oh yeah, by the way, I'm moving to Phoenix for 3 months, where was my fear? Okay, I was quick to realize that there's fear there of just moving to a new place and, therefore moving further away and maybe open to new experiences that might move her fully out of my life. And then I just stop and I start to think, okay, but I want her to experience all those things. I want her to go, and I've really, with Jess, I've learned in this situation more than anything is the cliche is if you love something, let it go. And that's really what I've done here. And let all the pieces fall where they may. And not control how things should fit together or how I want them to be. And I also see it like with my father and myself, some other attachments, how our attachments lead to suffering. My dad and I are super close. And about a year and a half ago, I started finding these little rubs with him. Like, we were just having these random conflicts. Like, I would just get angry. I would have a very short fuse with him. And it was actually during a psilocybin ceremony that I realized, like, why this shit's happening. And I started seeing that in my mind, I was attached to the person that he was growing up. When I was growing up, when he was this guy that was in his 40s and just young and active and a provider for me and a protector to me. And I guess as I got older and as I'm getting older and I see this other version of him forming, which is equally good in its own ways, it was a little bit of the child in me still wanted him to be this young dad, and maybe it was the fear of him dying and the attachment to him, his life. And it was expressing negatively because it was coming across as anger, which is not what I wanted at all. So it really gave me a great shift in perspective to realize that let me appreciate him while he's here. And I have the opportunity to enjoy him and not. And I essentially mourned him, the old version of him, during that ceremony. And I made way for really to work on a relationship now. So my dad's awesome. He's quite a character. He will 100% be on a future podcast, hopefully a video one. And I know everybody will enjoy him. But all these things is where we start to reprogram and repattern our minds. Little things like this, when you start living mindful, you start catching yourself and you get out of that old autopilot mode. Our goal in 2020, my goal in 2020, is to be open to everything and attached to nothing. Again, because our attachments are where we suffer. So right on. So that shit was a good time. Very good learning experience. The first couple days, Jess was here for 4 days, so the first day or two. After that, we went, oh man, So I went to go see bare knuckle fighting. All right, on Saturday night, it was in Fort Lauderdale Convention Center. It was a live pay-per-view event, so it's probably 1,500 people there or so. And we went to go see my boy Frank Ricci fight. And first of all, my man brought it. Like this man has a unique skill set because he's 6'3", and he's got ground game, he's got stand-up game. He'll smack you from the third row. This man's reach is ridiculous. And bare knuckle fighting is some crazy shit. Like the way it goes, so the rules are few, let me just say. But you can wrap your hands, but it has to be 1 inch below your knuckle, hence the bare knuckle. There's 5 2-minute rounds that none of them made it out of the first round. There is 15 different fights. And I mean, you got to think, you have trained fighters using their fists. I mean, these are deadly weapons. In a small circular ring, it was knockout city, boy. It was like a street fight with better lighting. and there's really not too many instances where you get a chance, I think MMA in general, where man versus man in a ring, you got to be a damn warrior to get in there. And that bare knuckle shit just took it to another level. And I used to going in there. I used to think about the Roman gladiators and the Colosseum, and how could they ever do that? How could you go and how barbaric was it that people are there cheering on to watch people get killed or slaughtered or fight animals and then I started realizing that there was no other real entertainment. I mean, you had poetry and plays and things like that, but I mean, you take away TV and Instagram, social media, all that stuff, it is very easy to see why people will get hyped up for that kind of fighting, because I'm telling you, 20 minutes after being in this environment, I was ready to go. It was so much energy in this place, and I'm sure it was very much like being in ancient Rome, but instead of togas, there's affliction tees everywhere. I mean, skulls on everything. But yeah, it was. It's like modern day Gladiator. And I took five Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu classes in my whole life. And on number 4, I had my face stepped on and every finger on my right hand crushed and jammed. So yeah, trying to pull a tooth with your fingers going in all different directions, that's not a good look. And on number 5, I pulled a muscle in my back that was apparently critical for holding my entire freaking upper body upright, because I was bent in half for 8 months. So I hung up my gi, and yeah, that was the end of my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu days. But it was fun, and Frank, we spoke after the fight. And, he's definitely down to come on here and talk a little bit about his experience as a fighter and where his career is heading and all that stuff. So I think that'll be awesome. I'm excited about that. And any questions you guys think that you want to ask Frank in particular, definitely hit me up on that overthinkersthinktank Instagram or at the Gmail. So that was the bare knuckle fighting. Was quite an experience. I would definitely do it again. It was badass. And then so we got tickets. So Sunday we're gonna go to Cirque du Soleil. So we got tickets for Cirque du Soleil, and man, I was in a bitch ass mood on Sunday. I was just being a crab to start the day, for real. And usually I would not, back in the day, maybe this would go on for a few hours and I'd ride it out and I'd be done with it. But, I started doing this self-help shit a couple of years ago, and I've read and I've listened to so many things that it's really easy to intellectualize them and tell people and help other people. But I found, even in the last year that, man, I got to start living this shit. It's one thing to know it, it's another thing to really live it and be mindful of it all. So now I started keeping my ass under the microscope and start seeing, where's my head at? Where are my limiting beliefs? Where's my self-talk? Am I telling myself, oh, I'm not a morning workout person? all that little things that negative talk starts creeping in, and I start listening to myself a little bit, and anytime, like, this is a great trick. So whenever you're having one of those days like I was having on Sunday morning, a great tool is ask yourself the word HALT, HALT. What that stands for, it's an acronym. It stands for, am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I lonely? Or am I tired? And I'm sure all of us have had this situation where you're laying in bed and you start overthinking about everything and everything seems so much worse, or you're having one of those days where it's like you're just so overwhelmed. And you got to ask yourself before you freak out and start freaking questioning your entire existence, am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I lonely? Or am I tired? And man, it's so simple. And when you start thinking about it, like I did, and I start saying, okay, am I hungry? Yeah. Jess is here. She eats way less than I do. Am I tired? Yeah. We've been up till 3 in the morning, just bullshitting and catching up. And I haven't been to the gym in a few days because I was with her, so that always makes me feel crappy and angry. So that alone is 3 out of the 4 things that makes sense of why I was feeling like I was feeling. So you realize, okay, let me get some food in me. Let me go ahead and work out a little bit, and let's see how I feel there. And let me tell you that I've learned personally the best way to change your emotional state is motion. It's motion. If you're having a shit day, go run around for 15 minutes. For real, throw on a pair of sneakers, go outside and run around your block. No joke, you will feel better. You'll definitely feel different, but you will feel better. And that's the best part of working out, is that there's not too many things in life that you're going to have a guaranteed payout that you're going to feel better when you're at the end of it. And sure enough, I went outside, 30 minutes outside. I was in the sun, just body weight workout, air squats and push-ups and jumping jacks and things like that, just to move around a little bit. I have a mace, which is a 20-pound mace, which is kind of, if you look it up online, it's kind of a long extended shaft with a round ball at the end that has like a disproportionate, it spreads the center of gravity of the weight. It is spread out. I have trouble explaining this. But basically, it's like a kettlebell situation, so it just makes it harder to move the weight. And you stand outside for 20 minutes throwing around that thing, and you are feeling good. And I think that's necessary in all of our lives. And that goes back to, like, if you tell yourself, I don't really work out. You need that because we as humans, as an animal, as a species, we need that. We got to get out of our heads, and we got to start using these meat suits that we live in. We have a body, and we need to have it fit. And that's key to our success. Because there's plenty of times that our mind mentally is going to feel drained, and we're going to be shot in work and in life. But when the body can stand up and provide the tangible proof that you have power, it serves as an anchor to pull you through all the crappy stuff. And our modern day living doesn't let us do what we're meant to do. We don't have to hunt. We don't have to scavenge and look for things and find shelter. Everything is freaking delivered to us like instantly. It's crazy. We live in everything's a temper controlled environment. There's no natural stressors. We don't turn every corner, and we're not afraid of getting killed at every turn. It's a different life than our ancestors had, but the evolution has only been a short amount of time, so our brains are the same. So we're like trapped. We're calling it, the fact that people call ahead to Starbucks or fast food is crazy. Like nobody is that busy that you need to call ahead to Starbucks. I don't care. I refuse to believe that. And it's always the least busy people that have to call ahead. So it's like, it's not even busy, it's just lazy. It's like the guy, it's like the guy with the Bluetooth earpiece always looks like the last person that's going to expect an important call. Like, or the dude with the skater chain wallet probably has the least amount of money to steal. Like, why are these things? So let's be real. Don't call ahead for your coffee. Give it 5 minutes and just chill out. But it's getting worse. So I think it's our responsibility to seek discomfort. Really, just like you have to seek resistance. Jordan Peterson has a great podcast, and he says you only know yourself when you test yourself. So we have to take control of our lives and our bodies and find the stress to allow ourselves to grow. And there's different stressors. So they're called hormetic stressors. What hormetic stressors do are, whether it's cold, hot, yoga, sauna, these stressors basically expose yourself to extreme conditions and force your body to adapt, but over short periods of time. So it's getting in a 40-degree cold plunge for 6 minutes. It's sitting in a 120-degree sauna for 20 minutes. It's doing a hot yoga class. And what happens is, when the cells in our body are exposed to these stresses, the disease, the unfit cells will die. They can't stay and maintain. And those are often the first cells to become diseased. So it's almost like doing a natural selection for us on a microscopic level. So it's really critical that we go and we push our bodies to these limits, in a safe way. But also emotional stressors too. I mean, it doesn't have to be physical stressors. Emotional stressors are just as critical for growth, I think. And I think a great way to do this and to really push yourself is to do like a fear day. To pick one day a week where you're going to do something that you're afraid to do, but it's going to make you better. So whether it's taking a cold shower in the morning, or you're at the supermarket and you see a beautiful girl or a good-looking dude and you want to approach them. Push yourself. Make the business call. Pick up the phone and make that call that you're kind of hesitant. That this is the call you need to make, but for whatever reason, that old program is not allowing you to pick up the phone and make that call. Step into that power. So pick a day. Make it on Wednesday. Every week you're going to do one thing. Call that fear day. And we're going to do one thing that is going to push us outside of our comfort zone. And there's limited opportunities to find those spots in your life. When you see them, you can often hear them when people talk to you, when they tell you that, like, oh, I really want to run a marathon, but, I don't know. And they start making these excuses, or that, that they don't know if their back's going to feel okay. All these excuses, and you start saying, okay, why are they doing that? Is because they're afraid. And what are they afraid of? They're afraid to maybe let themselves down, let their family down. Who knows? It's usually a fear of disappointment, though. But when you can find these spots where you can hit resistance, that's where you grow. And so yeah, I got my head screwed on straight, and turned my Sunday morning around. Sunday afternoon, went to go see Cirque du Soleil, Allegria, I think was the name of it, over at the Hard Rock Stadium, Dolphin Stadium. And man, I've seen Cirque du Soleil probably 5 or 6 times, different shows. And every time I see it, I think humans are legit, really. And it's so much better watching a human, instead of an elephant or a tiger. I just feel like at least the human knows what they're doing here. And it's funny, I love this Instagram page called Nature is Metal. It's awesome. It shows you just great action shots of just animals being animals and hunting each other, and it's just incredible. And it shows you how crazy it is to be an animal and how lucky we are to not have to live like that. And you watch a damn bear eviscerate a moose in one swipe, and then you go to the freaking circus and there's a same damn bear riding a tricycle. What is happening? What the fuck? So it's just it's crazy, but it's nice. You go to Cirque du Soleil, and there's a team of Thai girls that know how to do double flips into kitchen chairs that's on the shoulders of one of their friends 12 feet up in the air. And you're yo, I don't even know how they figured this trick out, but I am so happy that they did. And I wonder how often do you pull out those stunts at parties? If you're at a friend's house and they got a kitchen chair and you're yo, I know I can do some fucking crazy shit right now with this chair. I have one magic trick that makes you look like you're floating a napkin, and I pull that shit out anytime I can. So if I could do a cartwheel into a chair which is balanced on someone's chin, I would do it. So, yeah. So Thai girls. Oh, talk about Thailand. So at the same day on Sunday, I was invited and decided to plan with friends a trip to Thailand. And I am super excited. 7 other people are going on this trip. Jess is coming as well. So it's going to be like a full experience with a good group of people. And I have to say, I'm like 93% excited for it. And out of the other 7%, 5% is the coronavirus. And 2% is the 20-hour fucking plane ride over there. For real. Like, and the plane ride, and everyone's like, just take some sleep medicine. Like, first of all, that's cool for like the first 4 hours. And then you got another 11 to figure out. And it's not even like watch 7 movies. Like, what? Like, so that freaks me out. But I'm going to suck it up because I know the chance to be on the other side of the world with a great group of people comes few and far between. And I'm going to do some research. I don't know anything about Thailand. I mean, I like Thai food, but I need to lock down a few phrases. If anyone knows anything, shoot it at me. I'm going to end up being that American who got down with like Rosetta Stone on the plane ride over, and I butcher every damn phrase. Like my dad walking into the sushi restaurant and speaking Korean to the Japanese sushi chef. Yeah, always a good look. But we're flying. The thing is, we're flying the big airplane, like commercial jets, to get there. And then when we're in Thailand, we booked 3 flights on Bangkok Airlines, which is just like, how sketchy does that sound? And first of all, call that shit Sky Thai. Like, the fact that you didn't is upsetting. And Bangkok Air, I feel like, is the kind of airlines that probably lets the flight attendants take turns flying the plane or some shit. Like, I just don't trust it. But if anything's going to happen to me, let it happen with all my friends. Right? I mean, what else am I going to do? I hope, God forbid, we don't ever play this back for any good reason. But if we did, I guess I was at peace with it. But, I'm ready for it. I want to go on the other side of the world. I want to see what this stuff's like. I'm ready to experience it. I'm ready to document it and really create, like, a cool-ass, podcast for it. So that's going to be cool. And I feel like I got to do this shit now, like, before I have kids. Because I'm worried about entertaining me on this flight. Like, definitely not bringing any kids on that plane. And just having kids, like, I was thinking about this weekend. I have a buddy, Matt, who got engaged to his wonderful girlfriend, Sam, and they're an awesome couple. Like, top 5 dead or alive couple. But, man, they are on the express lane. Like, I feel like they got a dog, engaged, picked out a wedding venue, and they're looking at houses. I think it's been 3 weeks. No joke. And, it's great. Like, if you know, you know. And they want to enjoy kids with their families, with their parents, and things like that. Like, I get all that. But, man, like, it's hard for me naturally not to think, like, shit, if I have a kid tomorrow, my parents are 83 at the bar mitzvah. Like, damn. Like, that shit blows my mind. And even then, like, having kids, like, raising kids down here in Broward County, I don't think I would ever do it. Because I think, for me, I was a scared kid growing up. And I grew up in the middle-class suburbs on the Jersey Shore. But me at 8 years old, I thought someone was going to try to fucking rob our house or kidnap my ass. All the time. And let me tell you, God help that robber. Because if he ever came in our house, my 7-year-old ass, when I was like running across to the bathroom, across the hallway, I'd be swinging my arms so fast, it'd be done if we had a confrontation. But I remember when I was growing up and my parents would be watching like America's Most Wanted or Cops. And I would be like, hey, Dad, is Albuquerque near here? And he'd be like, hell no, it's on the other side of the country. And I'd be like, all right, cool, I can go to sleep. And now it's like every other episode is in Broward County. Like, if my kid was like, Dad, like, I would be afraid if he'd run into my room and be like, Dad, I just saw myself in the background of Cops. Because that's the type of shit that would be going down here. And I don't know if I'm ready for that. I don't know if I'm ready to sign up for that. So, that shit just gets me thinking. Obviously, everything gets me thinking. So yeah, that was the week. That was the week, and it was great, and so many other things are coming up, and that's what we get to look forward to. You know, it's a blessing. It's a blessing just to have an opportunity to just live. You know, to just live. I think we all gotta just take pause and this, not to sound woo woo or any of that shit, but like really, like think about the people that would trade places with you in 2 seconds right now. The people that are taking their last breath somewhere, that would do anything to have the problems that you have right now. You know, put this shit into perspective. And it's not about looking around and looking at everybody else. You know, let's just look at each other or look at ourselves, you know? Let's look at ourselves and start realizing that let's get clear on what we are first before worrying about and judging everybody else's shit. Because we all got enough work to do on ourselves before we got to work on each other. So what I'm going to do this week, and I'm going to get together all my photos on videos from when I went to Vancouver last year for those 4 ayahuasca ceremonies, 3 ceremonies, and I'm going to put together on the next podcast, I'm going to record it on video, and I'm going to edit in the pictures, and I'm really going to go over an overview on what is ayahuasca and just a beginning to end full story of flying out there to Vancouver, meeting up with my buddy Eric Neese, who was on The Real World. He was my mentor going through this. We took a freaking water plane that we landed over there right off the island in Sechelt, Vancouver, and we stayed at a hostel for a night, and we slept at a shaman's on the floor for 3 nights. Like, it goes on and on. The story gets deep, but man, it's a badass story, and I really want to share it one time because I don't ever get to tell it in completion, because when I'm talking to people, it's usually in a situation where I can't really elaborate. So I'm excited, and I appreciate everybody, and your feedback is welcome. So remember, just send it out to the Instagram, overthinkersthinktank, or shoot me an email at overthinkersthinktank@gmail.com. Questions, comments, you love it, you hate it, whatever it is, just let me know. And until next time, peace.
Lay my game down quite flat. Sweetness when you talk that. Petiteness, but that ass fat. She got a body, make a nigga wanna eat that. I'm fucking with you. The bitch official though. Hit harder than the missile, yo. Try to hit it if she tripping, disappearing like Arsenio.